Yeah. Awesome.
The short ending.
The short.
Yeah.
Excellent. So in this video, we're adding in a few more advanced techniques, like playing a 4-chord pattern instead of a 2-chord pattern, and also trading back and forth who's playing the melody. And this presents, between guitar and piano, a whole bunch of interesting challenges that are going to make you a much stronger musician once you know how to sort of think about them. So Kenny, why don't you explain what the chord progression was, how long we played each chord for?
Sure. We had 1 bar each of G chord, C chord, G chord, and D chord. So if you think of the scale notes, it's the 1 up to the 4, back to the 1 and the 5. So it's 1, 4, 1, 5. Very common chord progressions. It really pays off to learn that because a lot of songs use it. And when we're getting to the soloing question, you know, I found that because the guitar is quieter, when you take your solo, you may have noticed from the video that I started up high with a kind of quiet sound, and those are the same range as the notes that he's playing. He's playing a couple of... So they're all in this same range. So as I started out quietly, he could be heard, and then I brought my voicing down lower, down into the lower range of the piano. So now that I'm down in the lower range, you'll notice that his notes started to sparkle a bit more, right?
Yeah.
So,
and with acoustic guitar, it can be challenging to improvise with other instruments because it goes from being quite loud, when I got all 6 strings going at the same time, to just 1 note at a time. So dynamics and volume are a big part of it. So it's part of the reason why knowing the form ahead of time and saying, well, you're going to solo first, but when you cue me, you have to start thinking about how can you play the piano in a way that my notes can come through. If you're playing electric guitar, one of the simplest ways you can do it is just when you're playing your chords, don't have your volume turned up all the way. And then when you're going to take a solo, you can turn the volume up on the guitar and then turn it back down when you go back. But it creates some really, I think restrictions create really interesting opportunities. So when I have to play a duet with somebody on another instrument, like maybe I'm playing the drums, and I got to play a duet with a flute player, all of a sudden I have to think about playing the drums totally differently, because if I'm bashing away like I would in a rock band, you can't hear it. So it gives you a chance to try something different.
for sure. Don't be afraid to ask the other players once you get to a band situation, if you're playing with electric players especially, or drummers. A lot of us practice so much on our own that it's hard. It's another skill set that's why we're putting this series together, to talk about how to jam. And you have to have the courage sometimes to say, hey, could you play a little quieter on my solo, or maybe you could switch to mallets on the drums, or even laying out. You know, in the jazz tradition, there's lots of examples where the rhythm section players will actually lay out and just let the person do their own completely unaccompanied solo, you know, and then the band comes in. So those are the things that you can look forward to, creating lots of drama with the use of texture and space, you know, so that, like, am I going to play, do I need to play right now? Or maybe I can just lay out and let that person go on their own and then come back in. As long as you keep in your mind the train tracks and the bars and the form, you know when to come back in. Musicians, we always meet on the one. So that's always a good place. If you get lost, just lay out, listen for it, and come back in when it's ready.
And if you both get lost in a duet, you can always, you know, stop and have a good laugh and start again. And
that's what we call a train wreck.
A train wreck, which is not, no one gets hurt in a musical train wreck. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that is recognizing whether or not a mistake, like if things goes totally off the rails. Sometimes, you know, we all space out and we miss things. If you're having a problem in the same place every time, though, then it's a good thing to stop and talk about and go, oh, I think in the second bar you're playing this chord and I'm playing this chord, let's sort it out. Mm-hmm. And the way in which we talk to each other is really important, to just always remember to be talk about the music and not about the person. So instead of you played that wrong, you can say something like, I think where that chord is, we're not playing the same chord.
Right, talk about the music.
And then it's about sorting out that thing rather than me going, you're wrong, I'm right, those kinds of things.